What if the only thing between you and your goals was fear? I've been thinking about this a lot recently. How much fear holds us back, how it impacts our decisions, and how it often has us playing life small. When I say fear, I don't just mean the intense, sweaty palms, heart racing type of fear. It's often more subtle than that. It hides behind reasonable sounding excuses and perfectly logical plans. I've noticed if you ask somebody who isn't progressing towards their goals, what are you afraid of? They'll often say they aren't afraid of anything. Then they'll go on to list all the reasons why they can't achieve their goals right now, why they don't have the time available, why they don't have the money available, why the circumstances aren't quite ready for them to go all out towards their goals. Yet behind it all is fear. It's fear in different disguises. It's fear of failure. What if I try and this doesn't work? It's fear of rejection. What if people don't like me, my work, or my ideas? It's fear of embarrassment. What if I look stupid or make a fool of myself? Or fear of loss. What if I give up too much and I regret it after? Fear rarely shows up waving its arms saying, don't do this. It's smarter than that. It disguises itself as caution, preparing yourself, waiting for the right moment. It convinces us that it's best to wait, to delay, or to avoid. And the longer we listen to it, the more it shapes our lives. Not because we made a conscious decision to stay where we are, but because fear has been quietly steering the wheel without us noticing. Reflecting on this got me curious. Why does fear have such a strong hold on us? Where does it come from? And most importantly, how do you move past it without letting it run your life? To answer these questions, we have to do a deep dive. We have to go back to where fear began and then follow its trail all the way to our current lives. So strap in, because once we understand fear and see it for what it is, we stop mistaking it for logic and we can start living the life we actually want. So let's start our journey by looking at fear through the lens of evolution. Long before we were chasing careers, building businesses, and posting our lives online, fear had one job: to keep us alive. For 99% of human history, survival wasn't a metaphor, it was a daily mission. If you failed to notice a snake in the grass or a predator coming out from the trees, you didn't get a second chance. There were dangerous predators and rival tribes who wanted your resources, and threats were constant. Our ancestors, who were quick to feel fear and react to it, were able to pass on their genes to the next generation. Those who felt less fear or acted more fearlessly would have been easy prey. So fear became hardwired into us as a survival-first mechanism, not a truth-first one. And it's important to know that fear isn't a flaw in the system, fear is the system. You can picture your brain as being a threat detection machine, with your amygdala being the alarm center. You're always scanning your environment, looking for anything that may harm you, anything that may trigger as a threat or danger. It doesn't wait for detailed analysis. The moment it detects that something could be a threat, it hits that alarm button. Adrenaline pumps through your body, your heart rate rises, breathing quickens, your muscles tense, and cortisol floods your system to keep you on high alert as long as the danger is present. This was the perfect design for 200,000 years ago. It was better to overreact and run from something harmless than underreact and get killed. That's why even today, our brains are wired to scan for danger over opportunity. This wiring shaped more than just our reflexes, it shaped our behavior. We learned to avoid risk unless the reward was essential. We became hyper-attuned to social disapproval because being rejected by the tribe could mean death. We valued safety over exploration because the unknown could be dangerous. In a world of predators, scarcity, and constant threats, fear was our most loyal bodyguard. It kept us cautious. It kept us alive. And in that environment, it made perfect sense. The problem? We no longer live in that world, but our genes and nervous system do. It's not hard to see how this ancient wiring can fail us in the modern world. Most threats we face today aren't from lions or rival tribes. They're social, emotional, or psychological. Yet our bodies treat them just the same. When you're about to pitch your idea in a meeting, to post something vulnerable online, or to walk into a room full of strangers, your brain reacts like you're stepping into the wilderness unarmed. Your heart races, your palms get sweaty, and you might even be looking for that escape route. Why? Because of our ancient wiring, rejection by our peers could be a life or death event. Something like losing your job still triggers that same scarcity reflex that you might not have enough resources to support your family. Feeling that something important still spikes that primal fear of falling behind. The mismatch between our environments and our biology creates this low-level tension. The irony is, most of the things that fear stops us doing are the very things that would improve our lives. Starting a business, having a difficult conversation, taking the leap towards your vision. It's like we're running modern software on ancient hardware. And unless we learn how to work with it, fear will continue to steer us away from the things we need to grow. Fear often shapes our behaviors without us realizing. I remember back in my poker career, for years I kept playing the same mistakes even though I'd outgrown them. I told myself I need to sharpen my game and make sure I was being smart with my bankroll. But in reality, it was fear. Fear of losing what I'd built, fear of not being good enough, fear of exposing my weaknesses at the higher level. I thought I was being sensible, but really I was using fear of failure to justify playing small. Fear is tricky like that, and it has so many different disguises. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, once you've done more research, once you're a bit more organized. But underneath the tidy justification of not being ready is the fear of not being good enough. The fear of failing in public, of proving you're not as capable as you thought. Sometimes it looks like over-planning. You spend weeks mapping out the perfect plan, tweaking it till it's bulletproof. But deep down, you're avoiding the moment where the plan meets reality, where you actually have to find out in the real world if your idea was good enough. This might lead to judgment, rejection, or being exposed. And sometimes it looks like playing small. You stay in the role you've outgrown, work on projects that you could do in your sleep, and turn down opportunities because now isn't quite the right time. But often, the real reason is you're scared to step into the unknown. Fear rarely says, don't do this. Instead, it says, maybe later. Play it safe. Let's not take unnecessary risks. And because those thoughts feel reasonable, we nod along. We tell ourselves it's patience or preparation, when really, it's self-protection. The result, year after year, we repeat the same loops and wonder why nothing's changing. We don't realize that beneath the surface, fear is driving our decisions. Now, I want to share my relationship with fear. From the outside, I can often look quite fearless. At 23, I took a one-way flight to Thailand with some friends to try to become a professional poker player. I've taken a lot of risks, made unconventional choices, and built a life that on paper looks bold. But fear still has a grip on me. It just wears a subtler mask. It convinces me that I'm not ready yet, that I need to prepare more, or that I need to earn my right to share what I want to say. It tells me to fit in, to be one of the group, to not stand out from the crowd. It makes me want to play life small, protect what I have instead of taking risks. It tells me to focus on practical things, like making more money in my business, rather than share my deep reflections with strangers on the internet. It nudges me to delay my real dreams for a future me, a one who's somewhat more qualified, more credible, and more ready. And while fear rarely outright stops me, it slows me down. So knowing how fear has a hold on us is one thing, but what are some practical ways to loosen its grip? Well, if we know that the problem with fear is modern software run on ancient hardware, then the solution isn't to delete it, it's to learn to work with it. You can't uninstall fear. You can't meditate it away completely. And you probably wouldn't want to either, because the same system that stops you walking into traffic is the same system that alerts you when something's important. So the goal isn't to become fearless. It's to recognize when it's a useful signal and when it's an outdated program that needs updated. So here are some practical ways I found to loosen fear's grip. The first is to name it. Fear thrives in vagueness. When you feel resistance, stop and ask, what exactly am I afraid of? Fear of looking foolish, fear of losing money, fear of wasting time. When I left poker to focus on coaching, I wasn't afraid of failing at business. I was afraid that nobody would care what I had to say, that my ideas wouldn't be good enough, and I wouldn't be valuable in that space. Naming that made it much easier to deal with. The second is challenge the story. Your brain is a master storyteller, and fear loves a worst case scenario. Counter this by zooming out. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year's time? Will this kill me? Will I recover from this if it goes wrong? 9 times out of 10, the rational answer is yes, I'll be just fine. Fear hates this kind of perspective. When I first started this YouTube channel, my mind painted vivid pictures of people criticizing my ideas, trolling me, and shooting down everything I had to say. When I realized none of this would kill me, I was ready to take the next step. The third one is start small. Big moves trigger big alarms. Break the scary action into the smallest step possible. Back in 2017, when I first started posting online, I was scared for what people might think of me. So instead of going straight to a platform like YouTube, I decided to create a private Facebook group. I added 20 of my close friends, and I posted my ideas in a safe space. They were very raw, very unfiltered, but they allowed me to kind of condense what I wanted to say in a way that I didn't care if I got judged. My friends would give me feedback, and it didn't matter if it was a failure. This then allowed me to start a YouTube channel a few months later, and I had more confidence because I started small and I'd taken the first steps. The fourth one is change your state. Fear is as much in your body as it is in your mind. Don't let fear paralyze you from taking action. On the days fear stalls me, I go for a brisk walk or I hit the gym. It amazes me how quickly shifting your physiology can interrupt the fear loop and put your rational mind back online. And the final one is move with the fear. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they take action. Fear fears because you act, not before you act. Instead of waiting to feel ready, Treat fear as a signal that you're moving towards something that matters. I still get this feeling often. Before I post a new video or before I hit post on a new blog, my mind tries to convince me that it's not ready. Yet every time I move with fear, I teach my brain I can handle this. And the next time gets a little bit easier. Fear is something you're going to have to live with your whole life. But once you understand it, name it, challenge it, it stops being the quiet driver of your life. You might still feel the pull to wait, to delay, to avoid, but you'll know that's not logic talking. That's just your ancient fear response that was built for a world you no longer live in. You're safe, and you can move towards your goals right now.